Hello, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Welcome everyone to my first stream. I hope that the sound isn't awful. Um, this is my first stream, so I had some background music within the software I'm using, which is X what is it? X Split Streaming Broadcast, something like that. But since it's my first time, I'm having some trouble with everything. Let me just. Okay. Um, Welcome me 03837 Spinxicles seeking. Welcome. Um, East X Twitch Tampo 666. On YouTube we have Darren. Hello Darren. And Travis. Thank you for joining me, guys. So as I already told you, I'm going to be signing these beautiful certificates made directly in the UK, sent to Mexico so that I can sign them, and then I'm going to send them back to the UK, which is crazy, but we thought that it was important for you to have the original signature for the ones that are getting their collector's editions. Um, Also, I'm going to be showing you some of my canvas I'm using with A Sprite, where I create the NPCs, the backgrounds, um, the houses, everything. Well, the dungeons, everything you see on the game. I am using solely A Sprite, GB Studio, and Tiled. That's the three softwares I use. I'm going to be showing you that. Um, I also have the first prototype from which Glory Hunters was born. I can play a little bit of that. There's not much to do in that particular prototype, but you'll see some of the ideas behind that prototype that came to turn to well the basic mechanics of Glory Hunters. I'm broadcasting from my office. I'm going to give you a quick look at it. Don't mind the ceiling that is falling apart. There I have my books. I have a little fridge, some notes, my water tank, a place to chill out. Sometimes I hang out with my friends here. I have my posters of Pato Books over there. Um, I have some other desks here. There was a time that people used to come here and work. Now I'm all alone in here, but it's great because I can really focus on what I'm doing. There's a lot of notes there around Glory Hunters and other stuff. The bathroom is back there, um, and yeah, this is my workspace. Back there, you can see there. That's my GB collection. Some of the Pato Box stuff I've gathered around the years, and that's pretty much everything. I'm sorry if the audio quality isn't great because there is so much empty space around. Um, but hopefully you can hear me and understand me perfectly. So yeah, Pato Box posters, very nice posters. Yeah, I love them. Thank you, East X Twitch. Why is chat in slow mode? I don't know, man. This is my first stream. I don't know how to change it. Audio is good. Okay, excellent. Well, also, if you have any questions regarding basically the game, you want to hear more about the Kickstarter campaign, how I come up with ideas, what are some inspirations, some games that I play, some I don't know, sprite work that I usually look for inspiration for this particular game. My past experience as an a wannabe indie developer. um, Whatever you like, just don't get too personal. So I'm going to change the camera here and let's get start with the signing of these things. Oops, this is my new rubber ducky, which reminds me to chill out and talk to him whenever something is not working on the with the code. Really unnecessary for stream size, and you can change it next time. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Look forward to seeing the game. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm really I want to play it too. I'm getting desperate to play it, like have it ready for all of you. So here's the first copy of the certificates. I have over 200, and let's going to start with the first one. I hope that this marker um, can hold the 200 certificates. We're going to start with the date. Today is the 25th of February 2023. Cool. First one. Oh, you're going to play it in an analog pocket? That's awesome, man. I wanted to buy one, but I didn't have enough money to do it. And since I had to pay extra to get it to Mexico, it was really crazy how much I needed to spend to get one. Okay, let's see. I hope everyone is doing fine. Really, if you want me to talk about um, anything in particular, feel free to ask. 25th. I used to make a lot of signatures back in the day because I was a teacher, and I needed to sign the homeworks of all my students. So memories are coming back to me right now. 25th. Oops. Fun story around these certificates. It was a mess because we needed to. Well, I asked Bitmapsoft if they could send them to me, so we can start this process of me signing, and then as soon as I got them, sending back everything to them, so they could include them within the collector's edition. So, well, from the start, it was really a problem because we're so far apart. Even when we have some meetings, The time difference between the UK and Mexico, I think it's 6 hours, and um, it's been hard for everyone involved, and sending stuff from there here. I'm also sending the soundtracks, which were nearly done. 02 2023. But the first time the printer sent me the certificates, they only sent me the first 100th. So they had to make, like, they had to ask them a second, well, again, to send me the another 100th, from 101 to 200, I think they were. And we were very nervous at the moment. I think Jamie got a little bit mad about it. Okay, got my analog pocket. Yeah, cheers with that. I'm going to play it on there. Yeah, I want an analog pocket so bad, man. It's very nice. Me, I'll be playing on Steam Deck. Cool, directly from Steam. That's awesome. I also want Steam Deck. Hopefully, one day I get one. Um, I think there's some background music. Let me check real quick. Yeah, there we go. 2023. Number 6. I'm really sorry, guys, that the game is taking too long, but this project is really special in a way that I want that everything is just perfect. Well, an important issue while developing for the Game Boy is to think that there will not be how do you call it, day one patch. I won't be able to fix any bugs once you get your cartridges. So I'm taking care of every single detail. As some of you already know, this project has become a monster in a good way. I always envisioned a game where the map was huge, and while it's not going to be a Breath of the Wild size map or Red Dead Redemption one, the most modern ones, I think that for a Game Boy game, this is going to be something really neat. I think I have like double or triple Link's Awakenings scenes, like the original scenes that you could find in that game. And I still need to finish up some of the dungeons, testing, a lot of stuff. But I'm giving up my best. I come here to work all alone, to fully focus on this game. That's the only thing I'm doing at the moment. I'm not working in any other projects. But as I already mentioned on the Kickstarter updates, there's a lot involved in making this game, from graphic design to well, I designed the original boxes. I'm going to show you real quick before I keep signing this. So, me being a graphic designer, whoops, sorry about that. It was really easy for me to make some mock-ups of how I wanted the box. I originally used the Game Boy tag. I based the whole design from other boxes and examples of Game Boy games. This was the really the first one. I made quite a lot of them. Now I changed here. I changed the logo to Game Dock. I thought it was going to be funny adding the little Pato box thingy here. Oops, I don't know if you can see it. As a personal brand, I made a lot of the stickers that comes with the game to have an example of how it would look. And then I started prototyping the final design of how it would look with the bitmaps of logo. I already once the Kickstarter was done and we had the deal within Bitmapsoft and me, Darren and Jamie, to have this done. But yeah, I was talking to Rodrigo a few days ago, and he told me the same thing. Like, thank God you're a graphic designer, man, because there's so much work around it, and it's really hard to express or to communicate what's everything that needs to be done, and we don't have to triangulate the information. I don't know how to say it. And I really enjoy graphic design. That's why I studied that, but uh, I enjoy a lot more doing video games. Okay, let's see. Please take your time. Yeah, man. I get it. Like, take your time making the game, but I'm a gamer too, and I have purchased stuff too, and I wait for games just like you, and it can be frustrating once you get the designer or the company your money, your hard-earned money. Hopefully, you'll see in the updates that I haven't been losing any time. Um, Hopefully that honest approach um, leaves you with like gets you calm around the whole situation. I'm not going to scam you or anything. Bitmapsoft has a great name. They've made so many great new retro games for different consoles. Um, I can't thank them enough for trusting me as well, for trusting this project, for giving me the time to polish it, to make all the crazy ideas I wanted for it. But this is some kind of redemption for me because I really wanted to make a product that shines. I know that it's not going to be perfect. Um, I don't think there's a way someone can make a perfect game nowadays. It's very complicated. There's so many processes, so many work that you can uh, keep with everything, you know. But I'm doing my best. I love what I do, and I'm really excited for you to get it on your hands and tell me if I if I did a good work or not. I think it's going to be fun. The demo itself, many people has praised it for the the possibilities this can have. There are so many gameplay styles you can have. I've tested with with Rodrigo's wife, and she doesn't like to go hunt on she doesn't enjoy so much the dungeon parts of a Zelda game. So she started talking to everyone within the demo, gathering materials. And I think that is something special about Glory Hunters that I'm going to make it possible for you to end the game. without even using your sword, if that's possible. I think it is, but thank you, Picori Kirby. This is a one thing, one an only thing I'm doing because I really don't enjoy getting all the setup, having my face on the camera. I'm going to try to do my best and have a good time with you guys. 23. Oops. Cool. And yeah, I prepared like to have some background music. I made a loop with every single song in the game. Later on, I'm going to show you some of the new 8-bit songs. The last one of them, one is for the song Laris de Mar, which is the, the pillar in the middle of the sea. I'm going to use that song for Backersville as well. We have a new song which is going to be used for Oblixia, which is a song full with snow. Really, well, it's not dead, but there's not a lot of life in there. Whoops, I don't think this marker is going to last. Hickory Kirby, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that YouTube is working well. I'm having the stream like since it's my first time, I'm not an expert doing all of this. So I have my chat over here within my iPad. 02 2023. And I gotta tell you that I cannot say a lot about being an indie developer since I only has been related to one other game in the past. As I told you, making a game for the last game called Patobox, we spent nearly 3 years developing it. So whenever people ask me like, what did you do for a living? I always say I was a graphic designer, but I ended up making games, and then like I pause for a little bit and say, well, I only done one game, but it took a lot of time, and now I'm doing another one, and it's taking a lot of time too. 2023. To hear the story of how you came up with the game. Okay, let's take a break and talk about that. There we go. Well, how the game came to be. I'm a huge World of Warcraft fan. I started playing World of Warcraft like very in a hardcore way when Wrath of the Lich King went live, and in that particular expansion, something that was new to me because I didn't own an Xbox or PlayStation the last generation. I didn't play a lot of Steam at the day, and I discovered the achievement system. Like I was aware of how you could implement it, the benefits of having an achievement system within a game. But that was the first time I had some hand-to-hand experience with it as a player, and I totally love it. I became an achievement junkie, and I thought that it was really cool. But I always have this little idea, like instead of just having it as a tool for gamification, how could we, well, as game developers, how could we implement it as a game mechanic, you know? But well, I didn't develop the story at the time, or well, the process, the engine, or anything that has anything to do with Glory Hunters. But that was an idea that came out in those years. Um, I also, well, for the Zelda fans out there, one of my favorite games, I usually play it once a year as a ritual because I love it so much, is A Link to the Past from the SNES. That was my first Zelda, which was gifted to me by my father in one of my birthdays. I was very little. I think I was, I don't know, 13. I was really little. And one of the parts of that game lets you drop down rupees to improve your bomb backspace and your arrow backspace. And you have to, well, that was the first time I grinded in a game, because back in the day there wasn't so many games that required you to grind. And well, it was stressing doing that part, or I don't know, I can understand that that's one of the parts that are not that fun of that game, like having to go back and grind some rupees, going back to the cave and just drop them so that you can have more arrows and bombs. Uh, that was one of the activities in the game that I did first. Like I love to improve my game, well, my gameplay or my character as soon as possible. So once I got the swimming ability in that game, I always do that part. And something about that mechanic was, well, it's really related to Glory Hunters in a way that, for one, that's something that you can do whenever you want, whenever you need it. It's a cool way, like, to improve your character. um, One of your abilities, which is to carry more stuff. One way to make it easier in the future, like to not run out of arrows or bombs. um, so I linked that thought subconsciously, I think, with the idea of the achievements, right? I also started to play a lot of Game Boy because I got a number nick. Um, I had Game Boys all my life: Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Advance. But I really enjoyed playing retro stuff once again. I didn't have a lot of time, so retro games provided me like a quick jump into gaming without spending 2 hours. You know, like I got the last one of the last games I got was Elden Ring, which is amazing, awesome. The graphics are great, the music is incredible, the gameplay amazing. But maybe this is my problem. But when I pick the controller to start playing that game, I spent like around 2 hours playing, and it was really, I became very tired of that. I didn't have a lot of time. Like if I knew if I wanted to play that game, I needed to have 2 spare hours in my day to really jump into it and actually have some progress. So more and more, well, it is common nowadays that the video games made today demands a lot of time for you, and I think that retro some of the retro games could demand a lot of time too. But I found out that the experience of playing those games was more easy at the moment. So I started playing that. Um, I don't know. It was around 2 years ago. I can't remember, but I started planning what other games I would like to make. And at the time, I discovered, and I told it many times, I discovered in YouTube a Retro Break channel, which was talking a lot of homebrew games, and I stumbled with one specific a specific one which talk about the game made in GB Studio, and I thought that blown my mind. Like I was really, really, really amazed. Um, so I started searching more around GB Studio, how people were making games. I don't know how to code. I don't know any language, any programming language. Like I said, I'm only a graphic designer. Like I like telling stories and creating symbols, characters. Um, I spent some time researching about how to be a good game designer, about the narrative of the game. Um, and these kind of tools really provided a way in which someone like me could jump to the games, well, to making games without knowing proper language, right? um, I started making a lot of prototypes within GB Studio. You're going to see one of it in a moment here. And well, I started imagining while I made those prototypes. I started imagining, well, picking up those ideas that I had in the past, like an achievement system and how could I implement it as a mechanic within the game. I love the fact to play action adventure games like The Legend of Zelda. I saw that it was possible to make one in GB Studio. Um, and I think I talked the idea with one of my friends called Fernando and his brother about having screens, like discovering screens for every achievement that you got, something like that. Like if you talk to one single NPC and have five different dialogues, you will get one achievement, and then you could pay that one achievement to open up another screen. And in the new screen, there were going to be new activities like pushing a grave or saving, simple stuff like even saving your game. I really wanted to implement like dying a lot in Glory Hunters, which is not possible because of how the save system works in it. But to really look at simple ideas that every gamer makes in a game, like opening doors, getting hearts, I don't know. And every single achievement, well, that idea evolved into making the achievements as as a currency. You know, I was playing a lot of Final Fantasy Adventure for the Game Boy at the time, and it just made sense, like to translate this idea and make it to fit in, like in a leveling up system. Like instead of getting experience points, you will get achievements, because experience points are only related to defeating enemies, um, and the achievement idea would let get experience, but with different activities like saving your game or talking to people, reading books that offered you lore around the story. um, I don't know, hunting creatures, playing mini games. So I merged those two ideas and started creating the game. That's how it was really conceived, uh, with those ideas, like making an achievement system relate to the experience point system that any old school RPG has. But I also wanted to make it like an open world. So I thought that instead of the system giving the player the experience points and automatically leveling up your character, that you could spend them whatever you wanted to, like to open new screens, travel to another area, um, buying items, like to give the player freedom to spend the experience points in whatever they liked. Um, I had another idea about this. Yeah, well, so if you analyze Glory Hunters from the core, you'll see that it's an RPG, but instead of me calling the experience points, I'm calling them glory points, which are earned by defeating enemies, just like in any other RPG or action adventure RPG. And you can improve your experience by reading text, talking to people, moving around, spending more achievements, earning more achievements, gives you more achievements. And it was cool at the start because it was like having fun of the idea of earning basic achievements like you do in every game, like uh, pressing start for the first time and you get prompted with the starter, you know. Originally I thought about that idea, like to criticize the fact that some achievements that you get are really simple and there's no much sense uh, getting them because it's not a real achievement. I had a talk with one of my friends, and he thought that was going to be the path I was going to take. Sorry, with this game. But as I started developing it, it became like more and more. Well, I wanted to have a serious feeling to it, like to really have a story-driven game that rewarded not only with new areas, but with information about its characters. Um, and yeah, well, those are some of the ideas behind it. Another idea that I had when I started creating the game is that while I played back in the day when I was very young, I loved how within my imagination of a little child, thinking how a place, well, how I could discover a place within the game that was only like my own, like when you're a child, maybe you tend to think in stupid things like that, right? Um, but I love to imagine that I was the only one getting there at the time. Like no one really has discovered this zone in A Link to the Past, or in Ocarina of Time, or whatever map you have in an action adventure RPG. And that was another thing that I included to the game mechanics. Like I didn't want, well, I wanted to be an open world, but I didn't want to be linear. Now I know that the specific description or meaning of a linear video game may differ from what I'm going to talking here. But I try to see the game as well. They're telling me that Breath of the Wild is not a linear well, it's not a linear game, and there's they know they have their reasons and they're right. I'm not fighting the reasoning behind what makes or not a linear video game experience, because well, something that I read is that a non-linear video game can have you run all around the world, like in Metroid games or Breath of the Wild open world games, and also that you you can have many endings, right? Like there's not only one ending, but you can achieve like five different ones or three. So I started to see it like in a more basic way, And I realized that for me, I had a line between point A, which is the start of the game, and point B, which is going to defeat Ganon or any ending that you have. Like you can maybe explore in different ways or play it in choosing different regions first or doing some mini games and others not. But at the end of the time, you're going to be playing from point A to point B, right? Even if you could have different endings. And I imagined a game that, well, what would happen that instead of having point A and point B, we could add three or more points, like point B, point C, point D, you know? And that's how I came with the idea of having four gods, like four end bosses. Because if I was going to give that freedom to the player to travel around the game wherever they wanted to, well, that fit perfectly because they could go to the north, to the west, to south, and I thought that it was going to be cool to have a gameplay in which your point B could be the first god, but for someone else could be the point C, which is a different god, which is going to be the end of the game. Like reaching one of the gods is going to be the end of the game. So that way I had like four different. They were not endings, but mid ends, if you want to call them that way. This also gave a lot. Well, in my mind, it gives a lot of opportunity for replay value. Like you can. I started imagining the game like if you discovered a mini game that you liked a lot. For example, in Link's Awakening, there's a mini game with a crane in which you pick up stuff. Some people play it until there's nothing else to pick up from there, but others skip it completely and go for the dungeons, right? So I thought that maybe imagining this game, if you happen to discover one of the mini games or one of the races or one of the areas that you really liked on your first playthrough, you could make a second playthrough avoiding that whole part or going back there making the things that you liked the first time and then discovering another whole new area. And well, at first it was just my imagination, but once I dropped everything to these ideas, um, into the engine to GB Studio, that was cool. Well, that actually worked. Like the achievements were working as I wanted to. The areas, well, the flow of the game was not really bad. Like I still have to make some adjustments to balance up how many achievements you pay and how many achievements you're getting depending on the zone you are. But it just worked. Like with some tweaks, it could make a really cool game, a really different game, like a new style of gameplay from my perspective. Let me read some of these. How an achievement system in a Game Boy like game is an epic idea. Thank you, Sedek. Love this. How Final Fantasy Adventure was also known as Final Fantasy Legend. Yeah, Final Fantasy Legend. We had Legend 3. I only played Final Fantasy Adventure or Final Fantasy Legend for the original Game Boy. I haven't played the other ones. I've heard that they are awesome. I misread on the wiki. And yeah, well, that's how it started to to grow, like to become a whole, you know. And while I started creating the game, I discovered that there was going to be something is called the GB Compo. I don't know if they do it yearly or if they done it last year or they're doing it this year. Many game devs that were going to well that were experiencing this software GB Studio were uploading their games, and I thought that it was going to be a cool idea to to put it out there and see if how people would answer to it. Like to see the comments if they like this different approach to a Game Boy game. Um, and at the time, well, we used to check it every day. Rodrigo and I like log into each to see the comments and maybe if we have new reviews. And it was going very, very, very good. Um, we really wanted to be selected as one of the finalists. We didn't, sadly. Um, but the people response to the game was huge. Was the exposition that particular event gave us was an enormous help, and also it was the first approach I could have to some, well, not that I could have to, but many publishers for the original Game Boy, like making new retro games, were being the sponsors of that particular event, and that also, well, I like to think that they check the games. I know for a fact that um, that Bitmapsoft did, because after some days when I uploaded the game, I can't remember how much they were, like 2 weeks, I don't know. Jamie from Bitmapsoft sent me a message within Twitter, um, and he told me that the game was looking really cool and that they were interested in making, well, asking me if I had any plans of making that particular demo in a physical format, as a physical medium. And that was amazing. Like I couldn't believe that even people that spend their time making new games for all retro stuff had a look at my game, and I was talking to them already, um, but I have in my mind, like I told myself, if this starts going well, I may need to make a Kickstarter, because what I want for the game is a lot bigger. Like I need more map, more characters. I want more music. Like I want the whole package for this particular uh, game. And I talked to Jamie at the time, and I told you, yeah, man, that's great. I've seen videos of unboxing of your games. I've seen what games you have been published, and they're great. I even had played Tales from Monsterland, which they published before all of this, getting these talks, and I was really excited. I knew that they were pretty well, the best making the physical cartridges. Like they really nailed every detail of the boxes, the prints around it, and that there was love behind that craftsmanship, if you would say it like that. And I talked to them about my idea of making a Kickstarter. We discussed how that would work. I said to them that I would take care of the campaign, but that I wanted to add the information that Bitmapsoft was going to take care of the physical medium. The reasoning behind that is because the community around the Game Boy community that is purchasing these new games I already know what kind of work Bitmapsoft publishes. When I first started to plan the Kickstarter, I even thought of um, buying some cartridges from China, from AliExpress. I made the numbers. I even had a contact there, which would send me a lot of cartridges um, to make some testings. But being with Bitmapsoft was really. I'm going to keep signing because if not, I'm not going to end. Never, I'm never going to end. Um, so yeah, we talk about it, and it was great. They were great. They were in with the idea of making a Kickstarter. They loved the fact that I wanted to improve the game in many aspects to make it bigger, and they've been supporting me from the start. So that has been great and awesome. Thank you guys. Big shout outs to Bitmapsoft, Darren and Jamie. 25th. So yeah, that's part of the story of how I envisioned or Glory Hunters was created. Let me see. Final Fantasy. Okay. Yeah, when I started playing with the software, I also start playing a lot of homebrew games. Many famous names on the scene. I discovered games from Gumpy Function, which is a great game designer, a great um, pixel artist. Obviously, I got Bitmap Software kind enough to send me Tales of Monsterland Collector's Edition, so I could see like their quality and what they wanted to have with Glory Hunters in the future. I talked to Joel, the creator, and he was amazing. He was really supportive and open with having, discussions and relationship um, with GB Studio. I'm going to show you the collector's edition. Here's the Tales of Monsterland that they kindly sent me. I was able. Everything is falling apart because I use it to see the contents and measure them and trying to make uh, the design around this box because this is the size of the box you're going to get from the collector's edition. So they have the certificate now, which is great. The art of Monsterland. You can see some of the sprites, NPCs, enemies, some sketches, level design. It's amazing. This game in this box, it's amazing. And I had the opportunity to play it on original hardware, which was was amazing. Um, Joel, congratulations on having this collector's edition. I can't wait to have mine with my game. Let me see. And yeah, I don't know if you want to for me to talk about something else. If you have any questions around the Kickstarter, I spent 3 months creating the Kickstarter. It was a lot of work because I had to well, record gameplay, export GIFs, make the design for the titles. Um, as you already know, I'm not the best person speaking in English or writing in English, and I spent a lot of time writing all the stuff that needed to be in the Kickstarter. I also looked at other Kickstarters. I made my research of games made on GB Studio or on new releases that not necessarily had anything to do with the software. But nowadays, I don't play anything. I don't have time to play anything. I really miss um, even turning on my Switch, my Nintendo Switch, or jumping on one of my modded Game Boys. That is something that uh, had me relax a lot playing games. But right now, there's no time, guys. There's so much to do and so little time. 25th, 02, 2023. Where, how did you get the inspiration for some of the characters and monsters you have been creating? That's a great question. Let me sign this one. 23 and so some of the inspiration behind the characters of the game. Let me see. This is a cool opportunity to open the some of the sketches. Let me just look for them. Many of the ideas behind Glory Hunters were conceived in the past. I made another prototype using Construct 2, I think that's the name of the software, in which I wanted to create a game called Janos Lair. No, Janos Chronicles. I don't remember. And I started creating a lot of lore around that, like a medieval time setting, heroes, monsters, dragons. Um, and when I started creating, well, first, my first approach to the game was getting the mechanics done, but I really didn't have any idea of what the story would be, any of the characters. That was not important for me. But whenever I played some of the builds I created, um, I discovered that the story was a big well needed to have a great impact on the game. So I dug up some, well, many of the ideas that I have from that game, that particular game, some of the symbols, and the lore of it. Let me see. Art book. I'm going to share my screen. I hope everyone can see it. Desktop. Okay, so, well, for this one, um, this was for an idea someone at Discord suggested, to have an NPC that told you, like, some of the important places you could look around when you were in a town, or where to look for a new dungeon. So I thought that a monkey could be fun. Like, the reasoning behind to have a monkey is, I imagined that someone would train many monkeys to help adventurers around the world, well, the world of the game, to explain them or point them out specific zones of the game. I even make a little sketch of what I call Banana Hatman. As you can see, someone trains them to help adventurers. I also get a lot of inspiration from, well, from many games. Like, for Captain Keeley, uh, I really like the Mega Man Legend series. I love the trombone character, and as you can see, this was highly inspiring that character, but with less machinery around its body. Like, she's not a robot; she's an actual pirate. Um, the hair is based on on the pixel art I did initially in the game. Like the pixel art was born before this sketch, but I wanted to have a clear idea of some of the characteristics that made this character unique, like the hair, the hat, well, the whole outfit, the stockings, and the boots with this boat thingy. What else? I did a lot of sketches. These were the sketches I made for the first game. I told you that, like, the first prototype called Janos Chronicles. This is not very original. It's just a floating island, but um, I start adding the things I liked from many games. Like I wanted to have enemies resemble Raziel from Soul of the River series, like very undead, a masked character. You can see the skull hanging from its wrist. The two fingers on the legs. Um, what else? This is going to be a character that you encounter in the desert area. Um, well, I usually start sketching stuff, and I have realized now that I have something with feathers and dog people because I have a lot of feathers and relate many characters to birds like this one. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't know how to say it, but stuff comes out. Like for this one, well, for this one, I wanted a character within the game that felt like Gary from Pokemon, like your rival in Pokemon, and that was always at your back, like following you or one step ahead of you. I thought of the name Sir Harlig, the Harbinger, because he was going to be the chosen one. And the idea around it, well, it had to be a night because of the time setting and the theme of the game, a cool night. But I also wanted to something that resembled a Proto Man from Mega Man series, or even Zero. Like you can see the hair over here. Um, yeah, like I usually merge ideas from stuff I like. I think many of us um, thinks or creates stuff like in this way. This was a sketch from Larry Samar. Like I also made some sketches for how it would look within the game. Well, how I imagine it, and then I try to translate it to Game Boy to pixel art. Well, the meteor that is falling, it's obviously a reference or a love letter to Final Fantasy VII. The design is very similar, but I changed it so that it resembled the symbol of the main enemy in the game. For this particular drawing or sketch, I used a technique which is used a lot in Oaxaca and here in Mexico to represent Day of the Dead and the Catrina. What else? This character is based off my main character in World of Warcraft. I love the idea of having a witch that could um, resurrect bosses in the game with her little imp there. The main hero, I started sketching. Well, first, I wanted to have something that resembled um, Airbound. Well, Mother 3 specifically. I love that game. That's why he has the this hair over here, this type of hair. And I also merged with the first art content Legend of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda had on the booklet and everything that surrounded it. What else? Mm, Oh, this is for the art book. I have more images. Let me search for them. Here, sketches. I start sketching characters that resembled their real counterpart. These are two of the members of Nordes, which are making the are playing or playing in the soundtrack. The drummer and the bagpipes, Manolo and Chema. What else? Well, yeah, but I don't know where all this comes from, really. Like, I'm sure there's some inspiration behind it from video games, movies, pop references. I did this one when I finished playing a game called what was the name? Oh, the Moon remix game, which is a lot of resembles a cartoonish art style. I tried giving the colors of Majora's Mask, right? Yep. Okay. Good night, the Doctor 77. Thank you for being here. I'm going to keep signing these things. I'm going to sign like five of them. Date. And then I'm going to try to play the Blind Rabbit, the first prototype I made. Well, not the first one, but the prototype that has a lot of sprite work in Glory Hunters. We're at number 30. Still a long way to go. I don't think I'm going to finish today, but this was a cool idea. I like to have a stream and have the opportunity to talk about the game. Give me a second. Someone's at the door. Hello, I'm back. Someone's going to join us for a little time. He's Rodrigo Nunez.
Hi guys, how are you?
He's the music composer for the game.
Oh, cuántos mensajes.
And yeah,
Lots of messages.
and yeah, we have been working together in this game for far too long to
Yes.
be for a Game Boy game. But um, just as me and the bitmaps of team, Rodrigo is very is taking care of every single detail within the music. We usually hear it together and make changes, and he's giving his best. I always like to thank him for being part of this. He was the perfect fit for the game because he played originally for the band Nordes, which is a Celtic music band, and he understood a lot. Well, very quickly and a lot what what the game needed for its music, what the mood had to be, and we even well the fact that we were neighbors well it improved the communication. We used to play together.
all the time.
We need to play more all the time. We gathered at night to play retro video games like with the NES Mini, the SNES Mini, even the PlayStation. We hacked it, so we played
The PlayStation Classic Mini with a USB.
with a little USB. We were able to play more retro games. And what we loved about those gatherings is that we used to have a score at the end
Yes.
of the night.
Yeah, we rated the games and pretty high scores, as I remember. We are.
Yeah, we speed run. We tried to speed run the game in a way that we could have an opinion at the end of the night. Like we spent like 4 or 5 hours with a game, and at the end we talked. Well, we usually had a beer at the end, and we talked how we well which mistakes we saw in the game, which aspects we would improve, and we gave well, it was just something between us like a grade, no, like a solid 8
Yeah,
or,
solid eight.
or a 9 or I don't even want to tell you what grade I would give to that game. um, but yeah, well, the relationship we have it for many years now, but this particular for this particular project, I like to think that everything happens for a reason. It has been great um, working with Rodrigo. I remember the first songs that he sent to me. I was like, "Those are perfect. You don't have to move anything from them," and it happens to this date. He sends me some new material, and I said, "Well, the biggest thing I ever said to him is like, cut this part, but the rest is just perfect." Um, if you want to talk some of the experience uh, for a Game Boy composer, and I'm going to have a smoke while
Yeah,
he talks about the game.
yeah. So it's first of all, it's been great to work with this guy. He's an amazing designer. He works like crazy. He's super fast. He's super reliable, and I'll be glad to answer any question about the music composition. First off, I would like to talk about the challenges that comes with programming music because it's so different to composing music. I mean, you compose, you record the music, and there you go. Then you have to mix and master. But in the case for a Game Boy game, it's so fascinating because it's a new world to me. I had to learn the language of the tracker, which are these softwares that allows you to create music for Game Boy. It is very cool because the Game Boy plays the music literally. It has this chip which plays the music. No, it's almost like you are giving the instructions to Game Boy, and it plays it. It's so amazing. Um, and well, as I said, I'll be very happy to answer to any question in that regard. Um, right now, we are in the process of mixing and mastering, which is a fun part of all. I've already finished with the music for the scenes, and music for gameplay. And now I'm just waiting for the mix and mastering. And then we are going to send the archives, the files. We'll be sending the files um, to the print, to the print, and we are in that part. So funny. So yeah, that's it. Um the CD that comes with the special with the collector's edition, it's quality. It's quality CD. It's made in Mexico by some guys that. Oh, that's nice. Questions. Uh, well, right now it's not very hard for me to for Sedec 40. How long, in average, does it take you to create one song or track? Uh, well, that depends. In the creating of the music, it's a little bit longer, but once I have it written, I just write. I proceed to write it on the tracker. I mean, 4 days. It sounds good. 4 days to create a song. It's been so cool because at first I didn't have so much idea of using the track, but as I'm becoming more familiar to it, I've been improving the soundtrack. It sounds better than I don't know if you guys played it on the GB Compo. That those themes sounds a lot better right now because I was learning all the tracks that you've been hearing on the demo on the chapter 1 are like my first contact with the software. Now it sounds really nice. The hardest instrument to play in Celtic music, I think it might be the bagpipes. uh, it's so fascinating. It's an instrument that's so fascinating. That's some cool thing because I write it first for real instruments. I record them and then I proceed to place it on the Milky Tracker, and then it is out for the Game Boy playing. We have a hurdy-gurdy. It's so hard to say it in English. Sanfona in Spanish. A hurdy-gurdy, which it's a new instrument in the band. One of the members bought it recently, and you'll be hearing it in the collector's edition. Oh, sorry. Let me. You'll be listening to it in the collector's edition CD. Also, it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon Music, and all the streaming services. Um, Hurdy. Okay, nice. Hurdy-gurdy. Hurdy-gurdy, am I right? Yeah, in Spanish we call it sanfona. Hurdy-gurdy. Hurdy. Okay. Am I East X Twitch? Am I saying it right? Hurdy-gurdy. It sounds correct. I think it's more. And yeah, so about the soundtrack, it'll be like I have 18 songs, but I think that 15 will be on the game. I've already yes, and 15 to 18 songs will be featured on the Game Boy, and of those 15 to 18, you'll have real instruments in the collector's edition CD. It'll be about 12 songs. It takes a lot of time to produce the music and to record it and so on. I'm so happy because it is my first work as a composer that will be published, and it's so fascinating. I'm thrilled. I'm so all about the process, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And Cesar feeds me with all the information that I need to know. He gives me like pixel art files, text content, and we talk a lot about we talk about everything a lot. He's a personal friend, also a boss. He's an amazing boss. He works really hard. He's a power force. He's a power force. He works hard, and he's so clear when he gives me the ideas. I don't think he has reject many songs. No,
No.
I think no. Maybe tweaks. No, he says like, hey, cut this, put an effect on this thing. So I've been learning all about the tracker and the programming of music, and I think I'm better now. I think I'm kind of good now, and I enjoy it a lot. I hope I'm having more work in Game Boy. It will be nice, or composing for other media, and I try to make a colorful album. I mean, how do you choose the music for each boss or fight zone? Well, we have. I don't want to give away anything because I'm not a spoiler. I don't want to spoil anything, but we have one song for common bosses, which is called "Something Evil Comes This Way," which I found that sentence in a James Bond novel, and I said, oh, I was trying to I was trying to it's so hard to put names on the songs, but something evil comes this way is the theme for common bosses, and then I have one song for the final boss, which is my favorite. I thought of it. I thought of the song originally for organ, for baroque organ or medieval organ or whatever, and from there it worked really well on programming. It is one of my favorite songs, and the common boss, something evil comes this way, is also one of my favorites because they are intense. I love those couple of songs, the boss songs. We have a main theme, which is like for the common part, which is how do you say it? The part to explore, which is the main theme, carries the main theme. Da, 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 da. And we have a town music, which is a really soft part. And I try to for the places that you spend more time on, I try to make more simple music, like something that will now not uh, put you on the nerve, like the exploration part you might call overworld. Yes, overworld or open world. Thank you very much. It is so enlightening. Thank you very much. The open world. And the open world is kind of soft. It's not so driven with effects and those things that may put you on alert. And the music from scenes when special bosses appears. We have another boss song about Sir Harlig the Heartbringer, which is a character that it's like it's one of my favorite of the game because it's like your equal. He is on the same quest as you, and he has a special song, and it's so charged. It's like heavy. The ones from scenes are heavier, are like a message to say you as a gamer like toughen up. It's time to fight now. And the songs in which you spend more time are like a little bit softer. This is the overworld. Yes, yes. We have a song about a dungeon song, a song for dungeons. We have the ending song, of course, the intro song. Which one? Well, many songs. As I said before, it's like about 15 to 18 songs, which or more. We're just exploring the possibilities. But I mean, it will be a full soundtrack. I try to put the best of me on it because, as I said before to some friends, I don't know when I will be able to compose music for a video game. So I'm trying to put my best, especially when it's my first work as a composer that will be published. I've done the music of music of theater plays, but it's the first time that that'll be polished. I have all the idea to do it, and I'm thrilled. I'm so excited about this. By the way, I'm looking to the certificates. You can't appreciate, but they are really beautiful. It's they are so beautiful, and of course the CD will be quality CD. Anything you need to know, I'll be glad to answer you guys. I'm here. I'm here. I'm reading you.
Why don't you talk about how hard it is for you to compose directly for 8-bit?
Oh, nice. Yeah. So that was mainly the first challenge. Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, Picori Kirby. Well, it was a challenge for sure. Uh, I mean, you have to the main difference between programming songs and recording songs is that, for example, you have to input the sound and then you have to manipulate it, to move it, to tweak it, to make it work. If you start a sound, you have to program the sound ending. Because if not, it keeps sounding. No, that's like a simple example of the difference and the things that you have to to learn. You don't have many speeds on the software. You can't configure well, I haven't been able to find a way to speed up a little bit or speed down the songs a little less. But you have, I think, nine speeds, which is a limitation. And yeah, for sure, the language of the Milky Tracker, it's not difficult if you're a musician. I mean, you have to know the all the things. There are so useful manuals on the web, but yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part is always to make a song that is effective, and in that regard, I think Cesar, it's very clear with his ideas, and he is so passionate about them. So it's easy to get involved on his vision. No, he's a great leader. So I think the hard part is always to make an effective song. The part of the language is it's learnable. I think is a word. You can learn it. But if you don't know music, I think you music theory. If you don't know music theory, I think you can find it so overwhelming. That's curious to know. Yes, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. For example, when the game contested on the GB Compo, I had the chance to play very good games and with really good ideas in what to do in music, even when the creators were not musicians. they they did really good jobs, and they weren't that lost. I mean, if you have if you have ears, you can do something that's interesting, or that can function. You know,
Sorry for the fireworks.
we have
We have an eternal party here in Mexico.
Mexico's an eternal party. Now you're hearing firecrackers, and
Yeah.
we have firecrackers. And I think one of the main things that made this process more enjoyable is that I am a big retro gamer, and I think that I enjoyed the games even back then when I was a little kid. I enjoyed the games because of the music, and that was like my first contact with music. The one from the video games, of course, radio and MTV and stuff, but video games were my first music inspiration, and of course, I enjoy the big ones. I'm a huge Mega Man fan, and the great ones, great games.
We are in number 52.
Yes.
52. Let's see. Your best streaming together. You know, it's the first time we do it. Um, I'm reading that some people are having trouble writing stuff on the comments. Sorry about that. I don't really have Twitch open, and I don't know how to use it. I just use this program that a friend of mine lent me for this night. As I told you before, I had all this setup ready for the stream where you could hear the whole music in the background, but something went wrong there, and I couldn't make it happen. Um, if I'm going to show you some. I'm going to try to show you the first approach to the design behind Glory Hunters. Well, the prototype, the whole idea is based off. Just let me find it over here. Oops. Hopefully this won't crash. Kickstarter. Okay, let's see if this works correctly. Okay. Let's see. Nope, nope, this is not seen.
Reception.
There you go. There you go. This was the first game. Well, not the first game, but um, one of the prototypes in which I played with the concept and learned a lot of about GB Studio. I call this the Blind Rabbit. The story was going to be about a kid who could see a rabbit that was blind. Only the kid would see this rabbit, and because the rabbit was blind, he needed aid in a quest they were going to have together. As you can see, I wanted to make it a really grim and dark game. The blind rabbit was able to kill people by hearing their dialogues. As you can see here, I started um, testing how to change the the typography within GB Studio, the borders of the dialogues, and there you have it. This is like an early version of the hero. He's being followed by a rabbit, by the blind rabbit, and this would make the player know that whenever you talk to someone, that NPC would be dead because the blind rabbit was following you. Some of the graphics, well, I think the main graphics that I used in Glory Hunters from this game was obviously the trees, the the grass areas, the flowers, some of the bushes. But I wanted to resemble like an Earthbound game, a little bit darker. As you can see, the houses were more reminiscent of that particular series. Um, the perspective in the rooms were also based in Airbound, how the doors show and how the character moves around. I was really hype about Airbound at the time. The NPCs don't have any animations, but they can actually turn and talk with you, which that's something I had to get rid in Glory Hunters because of the sprite animations, how much sprite animations I were doing for every single NPC, and because of the fact that I was going to have a lot of NPCs within the game. So as you can see in the dialogue, this is only to test out the mechanic. She's telling I have 2 HP left. You can only speak to me 2 more times. That was a text for me to check the flags that were on the game. I have 1 HP left. I will give you something useful. Well, this was a plan. Like the whole objective of this is for the player to spend their dialogues opportunities wisely to get items and to move on within the adventure, which was going to be set in a 3 day time span. Now she says, but you can only speak to me 1 more time. And this way, these are my last words. I won't be able to speak to you anymore. Goodbye. And she dies. Book. So when you talk to her again, she's dead. So young. Like the blind rabbit was going to be a very obscure, very grim character. He was going to be a spirit that was sent for a specific reason. I made a lot of sprite work to resemble the mother series, like the perspective within the houses. All of the NPCs in this build has the same mechanic. I had to add, well, it was not nearly done or even planned because um, I wanted to have a game in which, by speaking to people, you could kill them, and then the next day something would change in that particular day. And at the end of the third day, you could have the option to go back to the first day, but it was a really Majora's Mask mechanic. Like it was the same, and it didn't felt fresh. The way this work, it also resembles the game the Deus a lot in a way. In depending on which items you get, let's kill this old woman here. Depending which items you get, you have different outcomes, and the story develops in a different way. So that's why I really liked the graphics, and I think that this mechanic could lead to something in the future, but it didn't feel original at all, right? I made, as you can see here, there's a, well, I took some of of the background assets to Glory Hunters, like the bookshelf, and I think the bed was changed a little bit at the end. Um, but yeah, it's just I was just testing things out, like how to read. This was based off an idea behind Death Note, the anime or the manga, and really just testing out what I could do, what were my limitations to create a game on Game Boy, how to create sprites, how to make an actor follow another one, you know. Um, I tested a lot of of how a background could be created. But yeah, it was set in a more modern era, if you like. The typography for the police station, hospital is based on how Pokemon uses it. So yeah, if you and even the signs are based off Pokemon. Here's a little park. It's really empty. As I told you before, this was just to test out uh, what I could make in GB Studio and to test my limits. You know, for example, here in the shop, I tested the triggers. I wanted to a ghost to come out. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but a ghost is going to come out when I hit the trigger there. Oop, it was really fast. And I like the idea of having, let's kill this one, to have like secret passages, like to travel around the town. As you can see in Glory Hunters, the only dead animation that I used from this game is the player's one, which ironically you can see in here because you cannot die. So yeah, I like to play with triggers on how to change scenes from which point or from which area, secrets doors that led to to other areas in which you could get items or speak to different people. Even this build has a lot of assets and scenes from the GB Studio original example project, like this one. I didn't remove them, but you cannot do anything. You just walk, and that was really important for me to to figure out what I needed to make this game fun. Like only walk around and talking to people. Yeah, it could be entertaining if you have a great story and cool dialogues, whatever. But as a game designer, I'm always thinking how to make the player keep keep playing in every single moment, like to be doing stuff while you walk around. And I think that Legend of Zelda is a great example of it because you're always in danger, um, you're always interacting with enemies. So yeah, those were the only scenes I really made for that particular game. I want to add that character in some shape or form for the end game, or as a Easter egg. But yeah, that's the first time I've shown gameplay around that game. Let me see, expression party, my color. Love the pat box on the wall. Thank you. I love it as well. I want to show you one one gift I received from Luis Vasquez de Lara, which is in Controbol, the band that made the soundtrack for Pato Box. He gifted me this little guy as a as memorabilia, or I don't know, a memory from the time we spent together working on that game. Um, and yeah, well, I'm going to keep signing this. If you have any more questions, here I am. We're at number 52. 25. I won't be able to finish all of this by today. I thought I was going to have more. I wouldn't be so distracted that talking to directly to the camera and you guys. It's 25. Date 125. Thank you, Pepetong. Yeah, I love it. He came one day with his girlfriend, and we had some beers together. And he wanted to gift it to me, and I almost cried. I think I shed a tear that day because it meant a lot coming from him to have that present. Date. Oops. Anyone wants to make a question? Want me to talk about anything around the game? How far are you along with the game? How long will it take to complete? As I shared an update before in Kickstarter. Um, Darren and Jamie asked me the same question, and it's really hard for me to calculate an exact date. But we are setting the goal to have it for you guys to have it in your hands around May. I don't know if mid May or at the end of that month, but that's the goal we've set. I set. um, Let me show you. I have already a lot of stuff finished. I'm going to share you some of the sprite work. Hopefully you can see that. So, oops. Um, The sprite work is done. Like I'm not planning on having more sprite work done. I'm just finishing the map. The map has been planned already. I have, if you would call them like that, blueprints of where the glory knights are going to ask you for the glory points, where the dungeons are located, where you're going to find some mini games on different um, places. And yeah, this took a lot of time. I think I'm missing one boss to design. Um, I'm every day I feel like I'm almost there, but new things come up. For example, this particular scene where you're going to be able to select the file. Um, this is one of the things that I take some time scripting in GB Studio because those are new to me. But well, yeah, within how much I spend scripting and adding all the characters, all the events, writing dialogues, I really think it could be around May. I want to stick to that date. Like, I need to finish this and test this to send it to Bitmapsoft. I think it was by the end of April or somewhere around that time frame. And that way they can test themselves the game within the cartridge that they are using for the game. Um, Hopefully everything goes according to plan. The music is already done. I already scripted when it needs to play, in which zones. There is a lot of stuff programmed already, like the basic mechanic, or you could say like the basic engine in how it is supposed to run this game, how it is supposed to read achievements. It's done. It's just like here in Mexico, we call it talacha, like just a lot of stuff to put together, but really, but yeah, everything is practically done with the sprite work. Bosses, these are going to be the different plants, different rocks. I need to correct the attack animation because, as you can see here, the sword is cropped. So I need to improve this animation that it makes so that it makes sense. Some of the backgrounds. Here are the backgrounds, as you can see from the demo I played, like the prototype of the blind rabbit. Here are the houses, some of the doors, um, backgrounds. Here's how I tested how it would look, and from here I grabbed the sprites and just build everything up using tiled. And yeah, at this point I changed to the idea of glory hunters. I started created the glory knights, um, some of the mobs. This one doesn't have shadows yet. Those are really early stages of the design. The houses that are inspired by Link's Awakening. No, sorry, A Link to the Past, and how the doors evolve to be somehow different, or like to not be so similar to that game. Some columns I make, trees, skulls, or bones, the water. Yeah, but the, I've been doing a lot of stuff, as you can see. There's a lot of sprites that I grab from here and I use it to make the map. Here I was testing some ideas for the trees, for a dungeon entrance that didn't stick. Well, didn't make it to the final cut. Some trees, symbols, the caravan and the horses. This whole zone I was testing with making a frame. And here I started making the desert area with different stones, the tents, more pillars, and some shrine ideas I had that is going to be removed from the final version of the game. Some of the paths that I tried using, not all of them are going to appear in the final game. The stairs. This a lot of testing, and I usually test or compare them between sprites, and see which one I like the most. Game Boy graphic card. Thank you, Picori Kirby. Reminds me of someone I know who's also doing Game Boy art for their ideas inspiration. So that's cool that Game Boy sprites and art are growing in popularity again. Yeah, I always like how the Game Boy looked. Like, I'm a fan of pixel art. I have learned a lot. Um, I try to get as much inspiration from other games or people working on their homebrew games. For example, this was taken from an asset that gives you some background elements for your game. It was a fountain, and then I tried and make it my own using the same logic for the shadows and perspective. You know, giving it like a very particular um, I don't know how to do that, a particular mood to relate to Glory Hunters. Here are some of the signs. How much time you spend on a single design? Well, I usually, for example, for this one, I spent an entire day because for this entrance, I tested a lot of columns. I went back to examples of the stone I made from the start here, right? Um, Backgrounds. Well, for the time I made all of these, I don't know, man. I usually made a lot of them. Sometimes I got stuck. For example, with the ship, I got stuck a lot on how it would see. As you can see here, I calculated which portion of this particular background would be seen in within the Game Boy screen. Um, I tried evolving a lot of the original buildings because some of the parts resembles a lot to uh, A Link to the Past, and I didn't really want to have that feeling like it was a copy, even if every single sprite you're seeing here was made from scratch. I tried to evolve it to have a more unique, how would you say it, mood or signature. And here, for example, I tried adding. I saw that this area was very small for the player to move around, so I decided to make it a bit larger. Um, Here I work with how a compass will be included within some of the scenes of the game, how the symbols would tell you how how far were you from a god or how near you were from a god. And this was, well, I started creating. Let me see where it is. I started creating all of the symbols here, and then what I do is I have a background, and I start adding them, as you can see here. This process is different than making every other background because, as I told you before, there's a specific software that aids me in creating backgrounds using the tile spreadsheet. But these ones I had to make it like by myself, very pixel by pixel, because how different they were and how they needed to be located. Look, here's the background, and here is how I started copying the symbols here and adding them. Um, this is the map I created. First, I select or start designing the little sprites, the little buildings and trees, and then I add them one by one using my blueprints of the whole map and where everything is going to be located. As you can see here, I do a lot of testing with the typography and how it's going to show within the game. This is the island of Bakersville, where you are going to be able to travel to. I noticed some school type characters. It reminded me when I got an Aztec blessing in the Zocalo in the. Did you use some Mexican mythology in the game? Um, well, not directly, but you could say that the main goal of the game is inspired by something really important in Mexico, which is, ¿cómo se dice? Los guadalupanos, ¿qué hacen qué? Su procesión. It's like a pilgrimage. It's like a pilgrimage we make here in Mexico, in which people travel from far distances to make a plea to La Virgen Maria, and you could say that that's basically one of the main inspirations. Like the player, instead of getting to the last boss or the last castle to defeat whatever is making wreckage and havoc in the land, the main story here is that this is a pilgrimage to ask a god for their help, because as a mere mortal, you don't have the ability to stop a meteor, you know. So, well, that's one example of some of the ideas that obviously are within my culture or we live here in Mexico. The pilgrimage people make once a year to ask Virgin Mary for well, a wish, or to ask her for help with something. For these calls, let me see, it was here background. These ones, this particular design was taken from some a trinket from Oaxaca, that is a place in Mexico, which are called milagros or miracles, and they are hearts with fire on top of them. And I had this one souvenir from there that had these skulls. Like, I think it was related to the Day of the Dead or Dia de Muertos, and while I don't directly make a reference to its origin, I try to give it a cool, how would you say, a reason to have it there. Like instead of making it a trinket, this one is a character that serves as a mini game or gives you information about the world. And by doing this kind of stuff, I think I'm bringing alive the game with original characters that are obviously based off, as I always tell, maybe other video games or my own culture, right? And the game was originally conceived as something that had to mate with the Celtic culture and the time frame of that particular moment they walked on Earth. But one of the fun things of making something for yourself or having a project in which you don't have to answer for which creative decisions you take. Um, I started mixing a lot of stuff. Like I love the symbology used by the Vikings, symbolism. Um, I added, like I mentioned before, some of my culture. Um, you could compare the creative process to this movie A Knight's Tale, where the director made it a medieval movie uh, with rock with music that he liked, like Queen or I don't know. So one of of the things that I love the most is that I have that freedom of just injecting whatever comes to my mind and feels that it fits and can relate or serve a purpose to the story or the gameplay or whatever. You're going to find a lot of reference. Like you're not going to play a Celtic or medieval specific game. You're going to play a game that was intended to be set in a medieval timeline, but has a lot of reference from a lot of um, cultures or other time frames. For example, something that made sense at the time was to create a song where the backers would add their names and the dialogues, and it was a cool. Well, I think it was a cool reference to call it Baskersville, like the Hound of Baskersville. Um, and yeah, there are some reference to stuff that I like, but you could say that there's a lot of Mexico injected in there, indirectly. Like if you live in Mexico, you're going to know where I took it from, but I don't use it as, how would you say, like canon lore. Like this is all fictional. This is a fictional world created by a lot of stuff that I like and I imagine that fits together. I don't think this marker is going to hold to last. Sorry, I don't think it's going to last. 25th, 20. I thank you guys for watching the stream, making me some company. As you can see, these are a lot of certificates. I really love these certificates. I wasn't expecting this much from. Well, I trusted Bitmapsoft, but these were impressive when I opened them. Like the gold, all the gold details around it. It's really gorgeous. How every single certificate is numbered. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are like some images from the art of Lord Hunters. I don't think you can see it here, there. Like I use them to have some texture in the certificate, and if you pay attention, you can actually see some of of the characters and some sketches I did for the game. Es un montón. Yeah, they're awesome. How many are they? They are 200. I no, I'm going to stick with 100 of them. I think because the marker is not going to last. 73. Así están padres, ¿no? 15, 25. I'm running out of ink. I got it. Yeah, I'm getting faster doing this. Thing is, I don't have another marker. But we are at 97. Whoops. 2023. Yep. I may have to continue another day because marker is giving up on me. The signatures are not looking great. 25, 02, 20. No, I'm not hurting myself. This is quite entertaining and something that had to be done eventually. And we'll have the memory of. Well, if you receive one of these, you'll have the memory of watching it being signed live on stream. 101, 25, 02. Whoops. Yeah, no. This is going to be the last one I sign. Because this marker, as you can see, the signature is not. Well, it's not looking as crisp as the first ones. And I think this will be a good time to say goodbye. I'm going to continue this later, maybe another day, once I have another marker. Right now, I may have a beer with Rodrigo. One or two beers, a couple of beers. Um, but thank you, everyone who joined the stream. I hope that I could answer some of your questions. Um, as always, if you have more questions or want to contact me, you can do it directly on Discord, via Kickstarter. If you want to, you can send me a direct message to Twitter, with to Think Design Studio, um, Twitter or Facebook page. I don't really use, um, how how is it called, the other social media, Instagram, but you could do it. Looking forward for the release date. Thank you, Pepe Tong. I appreciate your support. Well, that will be all for today. I don't think I will be streaming again. Um, but if I do, I will let you know. Bye bye.